Hey, everybody, and welcome to the show. Tonight's show is a very special one. I have a guest coming on in just a few moments by the name of Matt Benton. Now, he is a very well known paranormal investigator. He's been doing this for quite a long time, and he is also a movie maker. So, anybody who has been to his channel will know that when he puts a movie together and edits it, he does it live on YouTube, so everybody can take part in his edit process and see what's involved. So there's no hidden gems in there. It's all out there for everybody to see. Now these shows can be like 140, 150 episodes long as he puts the whole lot together. Now he's got a new movie out now. It is on Amazon Prime as well as YouTube Movies and several other places. The movie is called Evil Unearthed. It is a documentary style film all about his investigation of one specific location. Now, I'll let him tell you about that in a moment. This show is not like your normal TV show, not like your normal documentary. So, he'd heard things about this specific location which drew him there in the first place. And he first visited in 2017 and subsequently spent the next 7 years revisiting, filming, capturing new evidence, and speaking with other teams that have been in there about some of their experiences as well. Now, to say it's bone chilling and thought provoking is an understatement. There were parts in this film that literally gave me the chills, mainly because a lot of them actually opened my mind and took me straight back to some of the investigations that I'd been on. And if a show's going to do that, it is definitely 100% real. And that is the beauty of this film, Evil Unearthed. It is very real. Yes, it's been shot together in a very nice way, but I definitely recommend everybody go out there and watch this film. And to hear more about it and what's involved in shooting the whole thing, putting it all together, and the arduous process of editing and distributing and all of that, I've got Matt Benton right here waiting to jump in. So I'd like to welcome him to the show. And I would like to welcome Matt Benton to the show. He is currently on deployment somewhere in the world. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, what originally got you interested in the paranormal?
Well, it all started when I was a little kid. I used to see shadow people when I was very young. I also have heard voices there and there a couple times. So I was intrigued by the paranormals as a younger kid, but I didn't decide to become an investigator until the summer of 2011 when I went to the Old Washoe Club in Virginia City, Nevada. For the very first time, I tried to communicate with them, and I got a very direct response, which was when I asked for something to move or if there was something there, if they can move something. Basically, a piece of brick was thrown 5 seconds after I asked that question. And
That wouldn't be
so,
the first time that's happened either in that place.
yeah, so that got me hooked. I was like, holy, it's not like the shows out there you can actually get a response back. Because when I realized that, I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And now I want to do this for a living. So here I am, 15 years later almost. So
It's one of those things that really does get under your skin, and you just get into it, especially when you get that first piece of evidence that just wants you to go for more. I've got some
oh yeah.
stuff on the computer here that would absolutely blow your mind. Now, we've been friends on Facebook for quite some time, and I've been following a lot of your exploits, and I think that sort of leads into where we're going with this. I think it was back 2017, maybe somewhere around there. You first visited a certain
Yep.
place, and
Yeah, actually 2017 I was doing a different documentary called Man versus Paranormal. I canceled that documentary uh, because I was getting a little ahead of myself. I wasn't completely prepared for when it comes to the quality of production I wanted. So mainly for Man versus Paranormal. If I was doing some other kind of production, I think I could have done a little bit better. But for being by yourself, I feel like you need full on DVR system throughout the entire building. Because that's what it was, Man versus Paranormal, where I was stuck in a building by myself for 3 days, and for it to be cut well and everything, I felt like it needed full on DVR system. And I didn't have that at the time. I was just trying to jump the gun because I was like, okay, I've been doing YouTube videos for a while. Now I kind of want to jump into the do something serious like a documentary, and so I tried. Some things went well, but some things not so much. And actually, if you watch this film, you see some of that evidence that was captured during that filming, because I actually went to the Monroe house, and that's where everything unfolded, and was during that filming. So some of the footage that I used, some of that footage that I filmed back in 2017 when I was filming that documentary was used in this film. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky people who's actually had a chance to see this, and yeah, some of the bits absolutely blew me away. I've been investigating for close to 50 years without giving my age away, long before the internet and all that sort of stuff. And some of the things that I've seen and some of the cases that I've actually worked on in my years resonated when I saw some of the evidence that came through in this film of yours. It was absolutely, it actually gave me the chills when I saw a couple of bits, and we'll go into that a bit later on. But when you said you started thinking about doing a documentary type show, how did you go about it? What were the first things going through your head? Because as we were just talking before we started recording, I'm thinking about putting some stuff together myself, and I'll be just interested to hear your process and how you actually put it all out and planned it all out.
It starts with, if you think you have a good story, that's when I would like to make a documentary, because it's different when you're doing an episode. Like, as if you're just putting an episode on YouTube or whatever, it's basically just history evidence. That's it, basically. But when it comes to a documentary, you want a better storyline, something that's intriguing, something that grabs your attention, because you're putting this out on TV. So it's like, you want people to be watching it, and you want people to remember it. So it had to be a better storyline, and I so far found 2 locations and 2 different great storylines. This one's way better than my first film, in my opinion, just because of the storyline on its own is like, this is insane. This location of what was found, it's like a horror movie but real life, and so it's pretty cool. Like in the posters and the trailers, you see that I find a stick figure. Like kind of like Blair Witch Project inside the crawl space, which you expect to see that stuff in the movies, but it happened in real life. It was pretty crazy.
So, sorry, without giving too much away, you're in the crawl space of this building. You had your hazmat type suit thing on at that time, weren't you? The big dust suit and everything.
Yeah.
What goes through your head when you see something like that right in front of you? It's all good when you watch it on film, but when you're in the actual place with it, what goes through your head?
I was excited, like, because as a filmmaker and an investigator, I never thought I was going to see something like that. I'm a documentary filmmaker, by the way, so let's make that clear. So whatever happens, happens. And so when it's something crazy like that happens, and I was there in the moment, I was excited as a documentary filmmaker. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe we're seeing this right now. And it was actually Eddie that pointed it out. I wasn't aware of it at the time until he pointed it out. I was like, oh my, because I'm a paranormal investigator, but he isn't. So he doesn't know what it is what he was like. He doesn't really know. He's just trying to show it. And sure enough, I was like, yeah, that looks like it's witchcraft related. And so that was pretty cool. Yeah.
No, it blew me away. And it only seems to build from there. Now, when I watched the show, and for anybody, well, remind everybody, it's called Evil Unearthed. And
yes,
it is. Yeah. I remember watching the trailer for it, and I thought, yeah, this looks good. And then when I got to see the whole show, oh man, you know, I didn't want to go to do what I had to do at the end, but I'm going to watch the rest of it a bit later on. So I'm about 90% of the way through it. And yeah, it's definitely a journey and an adventure. When you first went into that house, did you ever envisage how long you would actually be spending filming there?
I
on and
had
off
no
and
idea how.
investigating?
Yeah, I had no idea how long it was going to take to film this thing because, well, obviously paranormal doesn't work on command all the time. So
No.
I've been there many times, and some of the times I've been there isn't shown in the film because we didn't really get anything during those times. But I went back there. I think I went there on separate times, probably around 10 times, 10 different times. Uh, don't quote me. I think that's what it is, but I'm not 100%. But I've kind of lost count. But yeah, I went there multiple times, gathered a lot of evidence, and then also gathered even more evidence from people that were interested. That were interested in sharing the evidence to me, and the ones that were good enough, I put it in the film because I thought were intriguing. It's like that you'll see, and like there's something
Yeah.
that happens
Yeah.
that's pretty weird.
Yes. And the way you actually put it all together absolutely blew me away, because you go in and do your visit, and obviously that's the first time you were in there, and then that phone call came through.
Yes,
Um,
yes. So the phone call that
mm-hmm.
was is a perfect. I'm just saying this when I got that phone call and that recording of the phone call. This is back in the day in 2017 before you needed permissions to record on the apps that they had. Because now you need like permissions to do some recordings and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more complex and all that. This is back in 2017 where it just automatically records if you had the app. And so
Yep.
I was lucky I had that. So it caught the whole experience. Mike Diddy is the one that was investigating at the time. And then sure enough, uh, a possession was taking place. And so
Yes.
and I knew since the beginning after that recording, I was like, this is how I'm starting the film as the grabber. And then I made it into a really cool intro. It's actually it is my favorite intro I've ever done in anything I've done. So
Well, let me just tell you up front. Before, when we were talking, I said there was a certain spot in the film where I got the goosebumps, and that was it. I'll be honest with you. Now, in my time investigating, I've been involved in 3 exorcisms, not actually partaking in it, but a local exorcist that was over here at the time wanted me to document the whole thing. So I was recording the whole thing. And this is probably going to tease people even more, but when I heard that voice and what was going on, it gave me the chills. It gave me the goosebumps because it took me right back to when I was doing these things. And there were a couple of key differences in that to what I experienced. But in the 3 that I've been in, each one of them's been a bit different. And I don't think you could have come out better for actually getting that phone call, because like I said, yeah, that gave me the goosebumps. And as you said, it's a brilliant way to kickstart everything off. And then the way you put it all together and leading up to what goes on, and then obviously other stuff happening later on. What did you do after getting that phone call initially?
after getting that phone call, I was like, okay, I want to go back there. There's something to this building. There's something that needs to be more things that need to be uncovered. And so I was thinking this needs to be its own film. Like it has the story. This shouldn't be like a side location for Man versus Paranormal. This should be its own film on the Monroe House because it had the perfect story. And so after I started uncovering more and more about the house, like I actually got the information of the person that was doing the rituals in the house. I got the history of the articles and sort of death certificates for the people that have died in the location. So basically, everything you need to know of what could possibly be causing the haunting there or some residual activity there would be from. And we have actual documentation on what this could be. And my personal opinion, based off of everything we captured, especially evidence wise, you'll see it's very rare when your evidence correlates with a like haunt so well, like that you can just. Oh, sorry, planes go by. Uh, so it like sometimes you go try and collect evidence and everything. You get things here and there, but it doesn't really give you an answer of what it is, or
Mm.
what's causing the haunting. This really pointed towards the rituals because a lot of the evidence was associated around the artifacts. And so when it
Mm.
comes to our EVPs, DVPs, and all that, so it was interesting.
Well, what another thing that I actually sort of stuck in my head about watching the film is that whenever you go into certain locations, you always see some of that graffiti on the wall. You might see a pentagram sprayed and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. That 9 times out of 10 is just kids doing their thing, and there's not much to it. But
Yeah.
when you found, as soon as you saw those figures, I think the initial comment was something a little bit different, and I was going, "No, it's this." But the amount of intent to actually build one of those effigies and put it all together like that, there's a bit of power and there's a bit of knowledge behind that sort of thing. So,
And plus
how long did it
the
take you guys to track him down?
it was actually 2023 or 24 when we found the guy. Yeah, it was about that time. And then we talked to Michelle Belanger in 2024 when we got even more information about what a cult he was a part of and everything. So it was pretty cool. That's more towards the end, so I don't know if you've seen that part yet with Michelle Belanger. But
No, I haven't seen him.
so when you get to that part, you're going to get a lot more information. So it's the information is unfolding in this document. This is the most in depth documentary that you're going to see on the Monroe House. It gives you pretty much all the answers, except for the bones. We still to this day don't know whose bones those are. That's the only thing, and we won't be able to know that unless we are allowed to take those bones out for our own, uh, for our own. What's the word I'm looking for? To get them actually tested, DNA
Yeah,
tested, and all that.
analysis. Yeah.
So, yeah, so it doesn't look like the owner wants to do anything with the bones, so it's going to have to stay there. And so the owner also pretty much has it boarded up now with a peephole that you can look through to see what's down there now, but you can't crawl in there anymore. So I was one of the very few people that were allowed in the crawl space at that.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you were one of the few that was actually given permission to actually go in there and have a look. And I've got to say, hats off to you. One, it would creep me out going into a place like that, and two, I probably wouldn't fit. So, I'm a bit of a stubby bloke. So, but I remember caving a long time ago when I was a teenager, and there was one spot where we had to crawl through a cave, which was probably not much bigger than, probably even smaller than that. And I think that's what did it for me. So I have an issue with some of those really small, tight locations like that. But getting back to the haunt itself, what kind of reports did you hear about that place before you? Because obviously something attracted you to go there in the first place and film. What did you hear about it before you actually went and visited the place?
So sorry, not playing. Uh, so basically, I was going through some videos on the place. There wasn't that many videos at the time, but there was one that stuck out to me, and I watched it. Looked pretty interesting, and then I heard some of the stories from Eddie, who was talking about the that the police were called on this location multiple times because they would see a woman upstairs from they looked at the house to see a woman upstairs when no one's supposed to be in the house. And so they're like, okay, so someone calls the police. They think someone's broken in, and sure enough, Eddie gets a call saying, "Oh, that basically there's someone probably in your house, so we need to go in there by the cops and everything." And then so he gets there and then opens it up, and nobody's in there. And then another time is apparently there was a sounds of distress, a woman screaming inside the building, and so that was another 911 call, and the cops got in there, and no one was there. So the police have been called multiple times. Actually, if you go there now, they have the windows draped over because they're tired of getting calls of someone being inside. So in 2017, that was what it looked like since then, and it's like I said, we investigated from 2017 to 2023 for the investigation portion, when it comes to being there. And then 2024, we filmed a couple other things like the Michelle Belanger interview and the anthropologist interview, which you haven't seen all those yet. So
I haven't seen that yet. No, I will be by the end of tonight. I will have watched it. Believe me. But yeah, I'm still got so much stuff going through my head just from the bit that I have seen. I've seen, like I said, well over half of it, and I'm going to jump back and forwards between the investigation side and the film side of things because I've got so many questions that I've got to get through.
Okay,
when you first went in there, and you said ideally you would like to have DVRs all throughout the place and stuff, and I know that I've got a DVR set up just back there, but
yeah.
How much gear did you actually go in with for this investigation based on what you'd heard prior?
So, as you can see later in the documentary, we upgraded in a lot of things. So, we actually got the DVR systems and for later during the filming, and we also had better cameras. Finally got my first cinema camera, which is the DJI Ronin 4D, which is like spent $13,000 on that setup. So yeah, it was expensive, but the best camera I've ever owned. It's awesome, and that's why some of the shots look so beautiful. It's the cinematography in it I really love in this film, and it definitely. So the first film let us have this moment of like, okay, we're going to reinvest into the production and also the paranormal side of things too. So we reinvested in the cameras, and now I am currently reinvesting in more paranormal gear at this very moment from the money that's going to come in from still the first film and this one that just released. Because I've always wanted to do things a bit more scientific, just haven't had the chance yet because it costs a lot of money to do it properly. So I have a lot of data collectors, data loggers, I should say, that I have purchased. I have currently around 7 data loggers right now. And so that's going to be implicated into some setups. I'm going to have some rig setups also that are a bit more scientific instead of what you see in our first 2 films, which is like your standard stuff, video, audio, a little bit of ITC, which isn't scientific, but the ITC is not scientific, but I still find it fascinating, especially during this Estes session that we did. It was very interesting, but like I said, it's not evidence, but still interesting. Yeah.
Getting onto that Estes method, you had the absolutely coolest block your eyes setup I've ever seen for an Estes method. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like horror, as you can tell. So I got that mask for 2 reasons. One, I am so desensitized by the paranormal. I need something else to like get me a little bit, feel a little bit of something. So having that, it puts me in a situation where I'm more claustrophobic because everything's cut off. Your air is a little bit, it's a little bit harder to breathe in it. It's and you definitely can't see under anything. Like some of those masks and everything people wear, you can still see kind of underneath some of them. This one completely, no, it's sealed. You can't see anything because I blacked out the eyes with black electrical tape. So you literally see nothing. Even with a light shining at your at the face mask, you don't see anything. It's pretty cool, actually. And so it gives that claustrophobic feel. That's one thing I like about it. So if anyone, so far no one else has done it. I think they're freaked out from it. I'm the only one that's done it in my team. And also I've done a handcuff too. So I just didn't do it for this film. So because for alone sessions, for the lone sessions, I like to do a handcuff, just add a little bit more. And I knew as an artist also that this would look really cool in red lighting. So I was like, so this was pre-planned for a while. I was pre-planning this shot. That's why I bought that mask. Actually, no, Rocky gave me that mask. And he let me use it. And I was like, this has to be a new thing that I haven't seen before. So it's going to be cool. You could call it the Benton method. At the claustrophobic. Well, with the handcuffs will be the first official Benton method.
I
So
can guarantee you that'll go into some kinky places as well with the handcuffs and the mask. That's a whole different show, that one. But have you
and
ever
you need that red
actually,
light.
again, yeah, have you ever actually done the Gansfeld experiment, which is like the predecessor
Yes,
to the Estes?
yes.
How did you find that?
I did that back in 2017 is when I was introduced to Essus and the Gans field, which is like where you have lights going through your eyes. So
Yeah.
the red light specifically. Um, I have done that, and you kind of sometimes see shadow figures and everything. But also,
Yep.
I'm more of a scientific minded person. I think it's just your brain playing tricks on you personally. Because when you see one color for too long or see one thing for too long, your eyes start to do weird things. Especially like perfect example, go stare at yourself in a mirror without moving your eyes. You're going to see your face disfigure and everything. And there's a scientific explanation for that because your eyes are always supposed to be moving, and then when it
Mm.
doesn't, you start hallucinating. So it's kind of the same thing. I feel like with just red light, you just see red light the whole time, and then it starts playing tricks on you. So I don't really believe in that aspect of it. I do believe in maybe cutting off senses, and maybe you can feel your surroundings a bit better. And as in this film, you can see that I definitely was going to whatever I felt during the moment and reacted and did it in that way. And it was creepy. It was very creepy. It was the creepiest one I've ever done, by the way. I've done
Mm.
it multiple times, and I would say that this one's the creepiest and weirdest. And I can't hear anything. I didn't even know. I got the chills when I rewatched the footage because I didn't know what was correlating properly and everything. And they were telling me it was, but I didn't know until I went back home and reviewed it. And I review. By the way, I do all my editing and my reviewing live on my YouTube members with my YouTube members. So there's no like the entire film is edited live. 155 episodes of me editing live for this film.
Wow, that I've never heard of that done before. In fact, I didn't even know that. So that is next level because there's no cheating. There's no cheating when you got
Exactly.
people watching.
Exactly. So everyone gets to see the raw footage of me doing it, and also people can request footage for me if they want to peer review it. So
I've never. Wow, yeah. There's a few things that you're doing as a first off in this thing, and that's awesome. When you first went in there and you were wanting to record something for that first show, at what point did you realize that there's a lot more to this? What was there would have been a key point where you go, oh no, this is going to take a lot more than just this visit? Because I believe that first one was like a 3-day lockdown kind of thing, wasn't it?
yeah, it was, and I only got like two things from that. And the first one, I still don't know if it's even paranormal. When it comes to like the noise I heard in the basement, that could have been something else, but I still put it in there just for people's speculation. So only one thing for sure that I could say that was paranormal because I could not debunk it. I tried everything, but the actually you should never say for sure for anything because there might be some other natural explanation that you just don't know about. And I learned that the hard way because my first documentary, we did debunk one thing, so that I thought was for sure paranormal. And so, in my first documentary was the rocking chair video, and so it's called the Harrisville Haunting was the name of this documentary, and it was actually debunked because when you looked at the before and after footage from the DVR cameras, you see that it was resting. So you can see the rocking chair going a bit forward, just resting there. Then Billy walks towards it. It moves on its own, it looks like, but it rests where it's supposed to be resting after it did that. And so after seeing side by side in its resting place, it was at a different position. So it was obvious
Yeah.
it was stuck on the wall prior until he walked up to it, and then it came loose. And then, so we thought it was pushed at the time, but that's not what happened after someone pointed that out after peer review, which is why I like to do this. I sent the footage out to a skeptic, and then he gave me an explanation for it, and I was awesome of him. So, yeah.
Mm. So when you're on location out there and you were filming and you have an idea of what you want to get out of it in your mind, how much? Again, this is me because when I do investigations, it's all on the job, on the job, on the job. And then I get home and I've got all this great footage, but I've got no B-roll. I've got no story to put one to the next, to the next, to the next to create a seamless sort of film. You did it so well. What went through your mind when you're making a film like this? Because obviously, number one is the investigation part and the research part, but you've got to have in the back of your head this plan from getting to A to B to C. What was going through your head when you were thinking about that?
Most of it is created in my head after filming, obviously, because it's a documentary. So the only things you can pre-plan is B-roll, and sometimes you kind of have lines. Yeah, sometimes you have lines in your head too that you want to like. Hey, this would be a good trailer moment, and I did that, and you see it in the trailer. I purposely knew that was going to be a trailer moment when I said those lines, and it was just I just came up with it on the spot because I'm a filmmaker, so I think in that aspect too. I'm not creating a script, but I'm creating what would be something engaging for the audience and what's happening in this house. Like the moment in the full trailer, when you see, not the teaser, the full trailer, you see me talking about like this was a 7-year investigation in the making or something like that. And then I go into like mysterious, dark, or I forgot what I said, but basically those things that I said were in my head, and like this will be a trailer moment and a film moment. So I was like, I used it both in the film and I used it in the trailer. So things like that, you had things pictured in your head, pre-planned, but you don't have obviously the evidence and everything. And the only thing that is like just not going to be planned, obviously, because of how I do things, at least, because I know there's some fakes out there. So it's very important that hopefully you get some good evidence. That's why I went back so many times, because I was wanting more. I was like, this isn't enough. Like this one door footage isn't enough. So I was like, I kept going back. And then sure enough, I found that stick figure, caught that amazing disembodied voice, which is creepy as hell, crawling out of the crawl space with that stick figure. Again, associating around around a ritualistic object. And then later down the line, years later, because that was 2017, so this is 2023. Sure enough, capture more. This one was EVPs, and it was associated around the objects. So this is why I believe there's something to the objects that's causing the haunting, more than someone's death there. Personally, that's my opinion. Sorry.
No, it's I don't know. When I shoot films, put bits and pieces together. I mean, I don't do films. I just do little bits. In fact, nothing that I've done has actually gone out on the internet. It's just in my own little collection and stuff. I will look at the footage and I go, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's brilliant. All right, that can get me to there. That can get me to there. But what I find is I'll go to bed on a night time, and for some reason it will be kicking through my head while I'm asleep. And then suddenly, that would be brilliant. How many times have you done that and got up and actually written it down to remember it in the morning? Because I have never done it, and I can't remember these things, and I've lost some of these cool bits because of that.
So I use my phone. So I use my phone, use Apple, the Apple Notes thing that it has built into it. And so I sometimes come up with ideas and write it down through my Apple Notes. When I have some kind of idea, I was like, hey, this would be probably a good film idea or a good just moment for the film. And one of those moments for the film that was written down and planned was I wanted that fireplace sequence with red lights. If I had more lights, this is another production thing. If I had more lights, it wouldn't just been only red. It would have been only the background red, but I didn't have as many lights. Again, this is a production stuff that's going to be added to the next production.
Yeah.
So it was only red light for the film, but hold on. Okay. So it was only red light for the film, but if I could redo it, it would be with yellowish lights, kind of matching the fire tone on the faces and everything, and just red background light is what it would have been if I had all the stuff with me. If I had infinity money and what I should have had in the beginning. So that's probably what I would have done differently in that sequence, but it still worked out. Also, I would have done that for the one slow motion fireplace sequence I did too, which is cool. I love that shot. I would have also had yellow lighting on me a little bit, but very dim because I think it adds an ambiance to it.
Mm,
That's another thing that I would have added to it because I was kind of dark in that shot, but you learn. So
yeah.
and you come back for some better stuff.
See, a lot of excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold. There's a lot of people that would turn around and say, when you see all these lights and stuff, it just makes it all a big production. But no, you've got two parts to it. You've got the actual investigation stuff, which is 100% real, and then you've got the I want to make it look good as well. So you do have to have certain little things. But I mean, just me here, I've got about 3 lights on me right now.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. It doesn't make it any less real just because you're taking the time to make something look a certain way. What happens on location happens on location, and if you've caught it, you've got something very real there. So I get what you're saying with that as well, and I know what you're talking about dollars. I mean, I've spent so much money on my little bits and pieces, and I wouldn't have anywhere near the same sort of gear as you. I mean, yes, I've been doing this for a long time, but what people don't forget, well, what people do forget is that I've been doing this long before the internet, and when shows like Ghost Adventures and all those shows came out where they're bringing out all these new devices and that's it, everybody's jumped into the electronic revolution. I was back to the ka-chunk cassette recorders for EVP work and, even dowsing rods and all of that kind of thing. And how much of the new stuff do you really enjoy using?
Okay, so most of it I think is trash, and the reasoning why is because it's a lot of false positives. And the only false positive thing I actually do use sometime is the ITC stuff, because I do believe there's something to it, but it's just not evidence is the problem. So it's just more of the experience and see maybe you can get something. The
Yeah.
stuff that I think is it's not good evidence. I want to make that clear. It's not evidence, but I have had some weird things happen with it, especially in my Soul Seeker days, which was a different team I used to be a part of. I got some crazy stuff on the ITC stuff during that time period. So I would say the things that I prefer is first video, audio. Those are the best. And then you have data loggers that collect it actually records the data in a, when you're doing an investigation, you want it with a rig setup, or if you want it with a, just in the room. It's good to collect data because what if some kind of phenomena happens and you also got some spikes on the barometric pressure or the EMF at the exact same moment. That'd be interesting because if you keep collecting enough data, maybe you could find out what's going on.
Yeah, get a
And
pattern
maybe
to
you
it all.
see that if it's associated. Yeah, see if it's associated. And then there's other plans that we have to try and make the ITC stuff actually scientific. So we're building things for it. So we'll one day hopefully try and I'm trying to see if I should give the idea. I'm trying to see if I should give the idea because I want other people to try it, but I also want us to be the first. You know what I mean? So
No, don't
we
do
have an
anything. Don't
idea.
do anything you don't want to.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I
yeah.
get where
So
you're
we
going
have
with
an
this.
idea. Yeah, we have an idea for trying to make it more scientific. So I'll just say with that, and then it just has to be built. And we have our own engineer. Haven't announced this yet, but we do have an engineer now, part of the team. I'll be announcing that in the beginning of 2026 of 2 new team members that are a big part of what's going to happen with the future of Paranormal Research Unit. That's the name of our team. It's
Yeah,
Paranormal Research Unit.
you got some cool hats and stuff, by the way. I might have to hit you up for one of them one day. But
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty known for the Paratac helmet because I was actually the first one I think to come up with anything like that, and then it was even improved by Josh Bender, who
is
did
that the
the
one in
helmet.
the film, the phase
Yes,
2
yes,
one? Yeah, that was the dope
yes.
nuts. That yeah, that's
A
cool.
lot of military love it and want it, but he doesn't want to build some. But he doesn't want to build more, I should say, because it was complicated for him and stuff like that. But I will be making a video about the 1.0 version so people can make their own for the 1.0 version if they want. So the 2.0 one is going to be custom to, I guess, only for me. So, but that's for Josh. That's because of Josh, because he's the one that built it for me. So
That,
He wants to focus on his other stuff.
yeah, that was the only. I had a little internal criticism in my own head. I saw that helmet and I thought yeah, that's the duck's nuts. And then a bit later on, there's a scene where you're walking through one of the rooms under night vision, and it's all good until you turn around and look at the camera and you get that big lens flare happening. It would happen with any.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I was able to really
That,
say.
that's the only
Yeah,
problem
maybe,
when it comes to filmmaking. That's a problem, but when it comes to evidence, it's not a problem. Because the helmet's for evidence. It's not really for filmmaking, in my opinion.
yeah,
It's to capture what I see and hear. And so I've seen things too many times where I am pointing my camera in a different direction, but I'm looking
yeah,
another way, and then I see a shadow figure or something else happens, and I'm not pointing in the direction at the right moments. And I was tired of that, so I thought of the helmet idea where I could just have a battery pack in the back of it and have everything connected to where it'll last for a longer period of time. And
yeah.
so, and all in just one device. And so, and then it just got approved by Josh Bender to have it to where the IR lights are 20 watts of IR. So now it's like so amazing.
Pretty
now.
intense.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
The only I had the same sort of thing quite often in an investigation. It always happens where you're not looking. Everybody turns
Yeah.
around and it's happened. It doesn't happen again. So what I will do, I've actually got the Insta360 camera, and you
Yeah.
just purchase that somewhere. So it's continually recording all directions all at once. So if something does happen, you've got a pretty good chance of catching it now. That's not going to work in a dark environment, obviously, but if you're in a well-lit environment, it's good for that.
Yep.
And we
It's
need
funny
to
you
get in.
mention that.
Yeah, go on.
It's funny you mentioned that because we've been making plans for that setup.
Oh,
It's and I'm also trying to make an IR.
that was going to be the next thing I was about to say, but we don't have a night vision version of that.
Yeah, we don't. So I'm for the next documentary, I'm going to be hitting them up. So
The,
see if they're
the
like,
only issue
for
you
TV.
have, yeah, the
Gotta
only
buy
issue
10.
you have, yeah, with the 360 camera, especially if you make it IR, is where do you point the lights?
That's another invention that we have an inventor for to do those things for us. So, our own engineer he already makes the best IR lights in the business, which is known as dead light. So, yeah.
Wow. All right. So what? So when are you going to be visiting the house again, or do you still visit there quite regularly, or are you moving on to other locations now with your next phase in mind?
I like to do. I will be visiting the place. I don't have any problem with that. I'll be going back for sure, but I won't be making any more documentaries there unless I can literally dig up the bones and actually fully do an excavation down there. It's probably the only time I would even think about doing that. As of right now, I don't plan on doing it. I'd like to move on to different projects, and so I don't like oh, here's a part 2 of the same place. I don't like doing that personally, unless it's a YouTube video. I'm not a big fan because I want to be just as excited to fully make something new. I like making new things. So the next documentary will be different. The next maybe TV show will be different. We'll just see what happens.
Are there any plans in motion at the moment?
Yes, there's plans.
See, I remember speaking to you through Facebook maybe 4 or 5 months ago. There was a comment come up on one post, and I put a comment in there about everything, and I can't remember how it exactly went, but I turned around and said, we need something really good and really decent, not the same thing that's been regurgitated time and time again. And your comment was, something big is coming.
That was you.
That was me. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I remember that. Something's was it the one where some Chip Coffee was like saying like, oh, paranormal TV shows are dead or something like that?
Yeah.
Is that the one? Yep. That's the.
I think that was the one.
Yep. You just have to come up with some unique ideas. Let's just say that, and I'm not going to say much more because I can't really give away details because I don't want to be taken. Is the main reason.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I remember years ago, there was this TV show, and it's one that you might have actually enjoyed. Now I can't even remember the name of it, but it's one where these guys will go to the absolute extremes. Like they were in one of these prisons, and I agree with some of what they said. Is like, you know how people say you shouldn't be provoking in the paranormal and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I agree with that, dependent on the location. If you're going to a school or if you're doing a residential case, no, you never do any of that kind of thing.
Exactly.
But if you're in a prison, people that give each other a little bit of stick get they get the responses from it, because that's what it's all about. So
Yeah,
I will do that.
exactly.
Now
I
these
said the
guys,
same thing. Yeah, so I literally the exact same thing you said is what I say. If it's something that's a dark location or has like a prison, for example, which has inmates that killed people or raped people, like I'm not going to be kind to those kind of people. Why would I be kind if their spirits are still there? I'm still not going to give you respect. So it's like I want good results, and so uh, I only do that for people that are known to be good spirits or could
yeah,
be good spirits. I should say in theory, because everything in the paranormal is theories. If it's a normal house that doesn't have any reports of anything negative at all, if it's a normal location, I never provoke. It doesn't make any sense. I only
no,
provoke when it's a negative entity or a history of negative things. So of people that were involved.
yeah,
So yeah,
exactly,
prisons.
yeah. Well,
And I had an argument with one person over that because some person was upset. I'm not going to say names, but one person was upset of me arguing. I mean, of me provoking in this one jail. I was like, this place had killers in it,
yeah.
and so I'm like, why do you want me to be all kind to them? I don't get it.
Well,
So
pretty
yeah,
please is not going to get you anywhere. Say in a place like that, you
yeah,
need to talk
yeah,
crap to them. You know, talk a bit of stick, and you get the responses
yeah.
back. Now, this TV show I was just telling you about that happened years ago. They went into a prison, and these guys took it to the next level. And I think that's why they got cut after 2 episodes. But like they would do blood stuff and things like that. You know, cut themselves to get. And some of the stuff that they got, mate, it was absolutely nuts. After the second episode
Yeah,
that was
that's the
cut,
thing. I'm a Christian, and I will never go to that extreme of doing rituals. So,
well,
uh,
I wouldn't say it's rituals, but it was sort of like, come on, get me if you can. There was no ritual type stuff in there, but they took
okay.
everything way beyond the point of decency or whatever you would want to do. I thought actually it was really provoking TV, but yeah, they got cut, and I haven't been able to see or find those ever since. Even the internet seems to have wiped them from existence, and nothing goes from the internet.
What's to say for this next idea that I have to pitch? It's things have changed now because of cable. It's not
Yeah.
really that much of a thing anymore. It's now streaming services, and as you can see on streaming services, they don't uh, they don't care about as much of gruesomeness anymore because it's honest. It's different now, and so
Mm.
it's not cable anymore, and it's not commercial. Like you don't have commercials playing over, at least unless you're on Tubi or something like that. But it's different. It's not timed, and it's not where you have to be PG the whole time anymore. You can be TVMA now, and it's fine. So that's another reason why I think this next show idea I have will work well in today's day and age. It wouldn't have probably worked well back when it was just mainly cable. Just saying. So
We're going to have a conversation after we finish recording now and find out what this is all about. But all right, so you've spent all the time, you've recorded it live with your YouTube audience, which is bloody brilliant, and you've got the whole thing put together. How many re-edits or how many bits did you chop and change just to make it flow and to give you a nice polished finished product?
I only remember fixing two things when it comes
Wow.
to a re-edit because first one was I left in a piece of evidence from another person that I thought was maybe interesting, but also wasn't good enough proof because anyone could say it was basically. And so the history of the location is of there's apparently past abuse that had taken place there from the newspaper articles that you read. And
Mm.
so there was a recording out there of it sounded like two couples fighting inside the building. But the issue was they were there. They say it wasn't them, but it's not good evidence, I feel like, because it could just made them. You know what I mean? So I was like, I'm just going to cut it. It doesn't flow well either. So I was like, I just cut it out completely. So it's still interesting if what they were saying is true, but I just decided to cut it out because it doesn't translate well on TV for that aspect. And on top of that, there's another part where I was explaining an EVP a little bit more in depth, which I found out. I found it interesting that it was during a moment no one was moving, and so I was really trying to break it down. I made it into a lot longer sequence, but I decided to cut it down completely because the film was already pretty long, and I wouldn't call it. Hold on. I was about to call it a verifiable EVP, is what I was about to call it, but then I realized it's from a voice recorder that I do not recommend. It's low quality audio, and I make that statement in the documentary. So I was like, I wouldn't call a verifiable EVP to something that's this low quality in audio. So I was like, never mind. I'm not going to say that. So I cut it out completely, and then I just showed it basically. And I did show it during live time too, so you can make your own assessment on it also during the moment.
So these are all up on your channel now, all these videos where the different episodes where you've been editing the whole thing, so people can actually see you in real time if they go back through your channel and see you putting the whole thing together.
Yep. They can see the parts where I cut out and re-edited. And actually, I would say there's a bigger re-edit in the first film there was with this one. The first film, there was a bigger re-edit. Like the whole beginning, I completely re-edited in the first film. So
that's brilliant. All right, so
I did both films, by the way. I edited live. I edited both films live, by the way. So the first film was like, I think 130 episodes, I think it was. This film was 155. No, sorry. The first film was 105 episodes, and this one's 155. So this one's a lot more episodes.
I've never heard that done anywhere before. The last real question I've got about the show before we jumped a couple of little bits and pieces. Once you finished putting it all together, how did you go about getting the distribution to where it's actually going live now? Because it's in some pretty bloody big places.
Oh, yeah. So I did a lot of research, and the first time I was my first film, I already knew I wanted distributed. I didn't know how to do it, so I contacted. I found a sales agent, and so I talked to the sales agent. They said they can get him to distribution. I was like, okay, you have to pay him a fee. I'm not going to discuss how much it was here because he does things differently. He does things differently for different people, so that's why I'm not going to discuss it.
No, I don't need to know that. I just want to understand how it sort of happened, because I remember seeing a documentary once, and they're talking about making a show for Netflix, and they've got so many restrictions in place. You have to use a specific camera from a specific list, and this, that, and the other, and that I guess could take away from a lot of people actually putting stuff out, which is as awesome as what you've done.
Yes, I understand, and that's why this next film we're going to have Sony FX6s, and also we're going to have we already have the DJI Ronin 4D, so we're going to have the proper cameras that would be Netflix rated. Technically, the DJI Ronin 4D isn't, but it's good enough quality where you could just say the Sony FX6 was the main camera. We could just say that, and they're not going to fucking know because it looks just as good. They just need to update their list, and I'm pretty sure they would qualify that camera, because even Hollywood uses that camera. They use the DJI Ronin 4D in Hollywood, and Mel Gibson's one of his newer films, he used it. So if they use it in Hollywood, I know they're going to accept it as quality wise. It has 14 stops of dynamic range. It has 15 stops of dynamic range for the Sony FX6. So it's like it's pretty dang close. It's gonna be
Yeah.
fine. It's the best looking footage in the documentary is with that camera. So
Oh man, look, everything, because as you said, you started off with certain cameras and different bits of footage, and I guess even the way you edit a lot of it together, just to give it a bit of stylization, and everything, you change little bits, and I I love. Look, this is not beating around the bush. I just love the whole image of the whole thing put together. It's got a definite, what's the word for it? There's a definite vibe. It's got its own personality. The whole way you've shot it.
I think the editing is the biggest part of it. How it's shot, the editing is the main thing. Sorry, another plane. I'm at an airport, so uh, uh, so this editing style, I'm very big on sound design. I spend a lot of money on my music, and so I think that's what stands out the most is my sound design. And I don't think I've seen anything out there in the paranormal world that is like my sound design. And so that's I think what sets this one apart. I very much like horror element, and this is a documentary. You know, there's found footage films out there like Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch Project, and everything, except they're fake. They're fiction.
Hmm.
This is 100% real, and you have that horror element to it. So, to my knowledge, this might be the first. Like I said, to my knowledge, I don't know for sure. This might be the first horror documentary that I can think of, at least. So,
Yeah, it was pretty good. Okay, so I think we are just about out of time. So what I will do is I will get you to sum up and give everybody your teaser description as to what the show is all about. Now, we are talking about, obviously, Evil Unearthed, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'll get you to do that, and then we'll go into where people can find it and everything just after that.
so as of right now, Evil Unearthed is about the Monroe House in Hartford City, Indiana. Ritualistic items, human remains, all of it. All the things you can ask for. Possession. It pretty much has it. The only thing that's missing is an apparition, but it pretty much has everything else. And so it's pretty crazy when you watch it. And I recommend watching it, and please leave a review. It's going to be on Prime Video, currently on Prime Video for US, UK, and I think Philippines. And then it's also available on Google Play and YouTube Movies. So you can watch it on on all three of those places right now. Yes, right now it is a purchase, but that really helps us because I spent a lot of money on this film, around $30,000. So it's pretty pricey to make. I'm an independent filmmaker. I don't have any big producer like here make this. I'll give you money for it. I don't have anyone doing that, so it's out of my own money from Marine Corps pay and the past film that I made. Is basically how this is being made with my money. So every little bit helps. You can either rent it or buy it. Buying it obviously helps more. So yeah, please support it on one of those sites.
Just to add to that, you can see it on Amazon Prime Australia. It is a pay-per-view, so you can find it there as well.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if there's an upgraded plan where you can watch it, but it is there in Australia, so you can watch it there as well.
Cool. So yeah, if you watch it in Australia, that's perfect because that's going to be. I need to know all the countries. I really even know all the countries that's available. They didn't give me a list of all the countries available, so I basically have to get people from those countries to see if it is. And the VPN doesn't seem to work all the time.
No, I've tried that.
Yeah.
No. All right. In closing, do you want to let everybody know where they can find your channel and on YouTube, and where they can find you on your socials if they want to ask more questions or get involved in your next edit?
Yeah. So for YouTube, my two main social medias would be YouTube and Instagram. I'm just trying to use X more also. So YouTube is Paranormal Research Unit is the name of my YouTube channel, and that's where you can see a lot of old episodes. Like I said, I started back in 2011, so I have a lot. And back in and then my other main thing I use is Instagram, which is at Real Matt Benton is the name. No commas, no periods, no nothing, just all together at Real Matt Benton. And so, yeah, that would be my two main ones, and X is at Matt Benton. So
That's awesome. Well, I would like to thank you very much for coming on the show and telling us all about the absolutely sensational movie you've put together. And I would just say to everybody, get out there and get your dollars out and pay to watch this Evil Unearthed, because it'll make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It made the hairs on my arms stand up. It gave me the goosebumps at certain parts as well. So if it can do that for me, because I've been doing this for a long time, and if you can get that response out of me, you've actually put something together really well, mate.
Thank you. Actually, that's my favorite emotion to give, is when people say they get the chills from, like literal chills from this film. And I hear it a lot for this film, which means I think I did my job, which is really cool.
That's awesome. Anyway, Matt Benton, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And I would love to have you back on soon to talk about your next project or what you have coming up, when you will be allowed to talk about it.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
All right. Matt, take it easy, mate.
You too.